To be or not to bop? That is the question. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of To Be or Not to Bop. In today's episode, we're going to cover, I know I always say this, one of my favorite musicians, but this musician is definitely, I would say, in my Mount Rushmore of jazz trumpet players, for sure. Yeah, top 4, top 5. If Mount Rushmore had at least 5. We're talking about the incredible Kenny Dorham. So in this episode, we're not going to focus on one particular record. We're going to do a bit of a best of top 5 great moments in the history of Kenny Dorham, not only as a trumpet player, not only as a soloist, but also as a composer as well. So we'll be a little bit of a mixed bag. We're going to talk about his trumpet playing, his style, his composing, and his soloing, one of the great stylists of the music. Kenny Dorham, the trumpet player, is to me one of the most intriguing stories and case studies on how to find your own voice, especially when you're dealing with one of the most complicated instruments to play, the trumpet. The trumpet is a beast. All of y'all who play this instrument, y'all know. If you know, you know. So he came up in an era where you have Dizzy Gillespie, Clifford Brown, before them, Roy Eldridge, Charlie Shavers, great technicians of the trumpet, people who can play from the bottom all the way to the top and beyond. People who can play fast, people who can play loud, people who can play high. So a lot of these virtuosic traits that we know about the trumpet, that's not something we closely associate with Kenny Dorham when you hear him. He plays a style that is more, I would say, subdued. He plays in the middle of the horn. He can definitely play high. He can definitely play fast, but those aren't the things we connect to him stylistically when we hear his music. And I think that's one of the important lessons we learn from Kenny Dorham. You don't have to play the highest. You don't have to play the fastest. You don't have to play the loudest, but your content is everything. Kenny Dorham is so lyrical, so melodic. He has a wealth of ideas. Harmonically, he is of the highest order. He knows how to play the changes. So those who know me, y'all know I love basketball. I'm a huge NBA fan. So a lot of times with some of my favorite basketball players, I like to compare them to some of my favorite jazz musicians. Now this one might be a little bit of a controversial comp. When I think about Kenny Dorham in totality, I compare him to the great Steph Curry. Now, some of you might say, Steph Curry, Kenny Dorham, I don't get it. You know, Steph Curry, obviously the greatest shooter of all time. He does something that not many people in the history of the game have been able to do. Now, here's how I compare him to Kenny Dorham. Steph Curry is 6'4". He inspires many people because he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, he's not the tallest, he's not LeBron James physically, he's not Michael Jordan physically, he's not Kobe Bryant in that way. But he makes the best of what he has, and he took his greatest skill and expanded it and made it something deadly, and made it something that has revolutionized the sport. Now, Kenny Dorham might not have the wide reach from a popularity standpoint that a Steph Curry has, but I think Kenny Dorham did the same thing. He doesn't play the fastest, he doesn't play the loudest, or he doesn't play the highest, but he is a specialist of the highest order. He took the ability to play changes, play melodically, play harmonically. To me, he might be the greatest harmonic trumpet player. I know Dizzy's in there too, don't come for me. But to me, Kenny Dorham harmonically, there's no one like him, all right? So that's how I see those two comparing. I think the key theme there is like you might not be physically imposing, or in the musical sense, you might not have the greatest technique, but you take the best of your skills and you take it to another level. You take your strengths and magnify your strengths. And I think that's something that Kenny Dorham displays in his trumpet playing, in his composition, in his soloing. Steph Curry, Kenny Dorham. You let me know what you think in the comments. All right, without further ado, let's get into this music. Let's get into some of these incredible compositions, incredible solos, and the great Kenny Dorham. So first up, we're gonna start mellow and build up. This is a great standard, Falling in Love with Love, and this is from a record called Jazz Contrasts. It features Kenny Dorham, Sonny Rollins, Hank Jones, Oscar Pettiford, and Max Roach. And let's get right into it. The great Oscar Pettiford on the bass. Max Roach on the drums. Hank Jones, incredible copy. And you can hear the way KD plays this melody, you know he knows the lyrics. So when we're playing these standards, we have to make sure we know the lyrics. All right, let's get back to it. All right, check out this break right here. Lyrical, just beautiful phrasing, double time. The phrasing right there. Just, you know, if he could play a double high F or a double high C, or maybe he wouldn't have gave us lines as beautiful as this. Let's go back to it. See, that thing right there, to me, that's the Charlie Parker influence. Just always finding the perfect balance of bebopping and then addressing the blues. Let's check out that line right there. Now tritone sub coming up. Oh, another great tritone line. Unbelievable phrasing. All right, let's get right back to it. Just beautiful phrasing. Beautiful phrasing. One of the things I love about this track, KD's playing all this beautiful stuff. You just listen to Max Roach, you're just playing time. Just relaxed timed. Just right in the pocket, not doing a whole lot. Him and OP just grooving together. The most active really is Hank Jones. He's really dancing through the changes on it. And to me, one of the hallmarks of masterful phrasing is when you play, like some people ask me, they'll say, is your style, do you play more on the beat or like behind the beat or ahead of the beat? Great phrasers are doing it all simultaneously at one time. And if we just go back to that this line right here. You just check out the phrasing. It sounds like he's laying back, but he never falls way back. He's always right there. Falling in love with love, KD. All right, y'all, this next track, I almost can't even handle it. You would think I just discovered this track, but like, I've been listening to this for over 20 years. It hits me every time like it's the first time. So we're talking about KD as a stylist, his improvisational style. We're talking about his trumpet playing, his harmonic knowledge. We really hear all that is Kenny Dorham when we hear his composition, when we hear the genius of him as a writer. When I got the opportunity a few times to play with the great Jimmy Heath and talk to him, he loved Kenny Dorham. He loved Kenny Dorham's music, his compositions, and he was deeply inspired by it. And he always talked about how Kenny Dorham is one of the greatest composers in the history of jazz. This is not hyperbole. Kenny Dorham as a composer is one of the greatest, one of the most underrated, unsung jazz composers. You know, in New York right now, I will say, you know, I've been around on the scene for about 20 plus years now, and I will say in New York City, we are definitely seeing a resurgence of the appreciation for Kenny Dorham as a trumpet player and as a composer as well. But I don't think it's enough. I think we can do it even more. I think globally we need to make sure we celebrate Kenny Dorham and hold him to the same esteem that we hold the great Duke Ellington and Thelonious Monk and players of that nature. Let's get into one of my favorites, Horn Salute. Beautiful melody, all the hits. Bam, 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 bam. All right. Let's go back to that melody one more time. Let's just hear it without me playing, but I had to play it. I'm sorry. Yep, so Kenny Dorham, of course, on this one. The great Charles Davis on the baritone saxophone. Buddy Enlow on drums, a young drummer that Kenny Dorham was bringing up in his band. You already hear there's so much happening in this composition. Nice little piano fill. Bam. You know, you got some hits in this melody, but they're not in the places you expect the hits to be. Unbelievable. So that was an incredible melody. Now as we go into the solos, we're going to hear the brilliance of Kenny Dorham as an arranger and a composer. One of the things I love about this track, the bass line is a part. So it isn't just your standard normal walking bass line to start. All right, so this features Butch Warren on the bass. Let's see what's going on in the bass part right here. All right, you hear there's a little line there. now we're in the walking bass line. All right? Let's go back to that one more time and check it out and really highlight that bass part. And this is why I love this song. I just love the fact that the solo starts with a written bass line that just kind of sets the tone for the rest of the song and for the rest of the solo. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so now that we know the bass part was happening there, let's just see what Katie is playing over that. You know, the harmonic knowledge of Kenny Dorham, because it is so deep and so rich, and he has a certain freedom. He knows all the cliches, he's got his own cliches, but whenever he's taking a solo, he can do anything. He's just so free, and even in that freeness, his ability to really spell out the changes is second to none. All right, let's go to the beginning of that Katie solo. Melody. Simple phrases, but it's not the simplicity of the phrases, it's how he plays it. He's just really just singing through that thing. Let's play it for one more time. Buddy Enlow so killing on this. Little two feel. It's like a song. Blues. The space. They go back to that bass line. Back to that written line. All right, here comes that double time. Yeah. There's that theme of going to that low note and all the way back up. Incredible solo by the great Kenny Dorham. Please check out this recording. You know, for the sake of YouTube, I can't just let y'all just listen to it. But this is about me exposing this stuff to you so you can go down the rabbit hole on your own and explore this incredible music. I want you guys to play these songs. You know, it's great that we have songs like KD just played on the last one, Falling in Love with Love, and the great American standards, but let's play the great Black American standards, the songs that are composed by the musicians who play this music. You know, Kenny Dorham didn't get the acclaim and the fruits of his labor. So I think it's very important that we just, at the least we can do is play this music. If we play jazz, let's play Kenny Dorham's compositions. I know a lot of times we don't know these songs, but we can find these songs. They're out there. Go out and transcribe them and play these tunes. Again, the great pen of Kenny Dorham, Horn Salute. Check it out. All right, this next track is another one of my all-time favorite Kenny Dorham, actually one of my all-time favorite jazz compositions ever. It's a Kenny Dorham original entitled None Shall Wander. This one, man, haunting melody. I've always wanted to record this record. Maybe I'll do it on my next album. Just a beautiful melody. It doesn't have a lot of notes, but what it has is gold. It's just this incredible song. Nice little intro right here. Ooh, nice little horn arrangement. So it's a great sextet record. We have Milt Jackson on vibes, Kenny Dorham on a trumpet, Tommy Flanagan on piano, the great Ron Carter, shout out to the great Ron Carter on bass, and Connie Kay on drums. We definitely gotta give flowers to the great Milt Jackson. I don't think he gets his due as a great soloist, or is really one of the best bebop soloists. Yeah. We also have Jimmy Heath. Spoke about Jimmy Heath on the last track. Yeah. So everyone states the melody on this song. So now Jimmy Heath does it in his solo. And I wonder if it was the direction of Katie to have everyone play the melody at some point in this song. This whole solo section is just the melody. There's some soloing in between the melody, but it's, again, just the melody. And now KD's solo, and he's gonna do the same thing. Just, short and sweet, just the melody, and they go out from here. Compositionally, this is just an immaculate arrangement. Woo. The haunting melody, None Shall Wander by the great Kenny Dorham. From Milt Jackson's Invitation. Check it out. All right, let's go to the next track. All right, so this next track is entitled Turbo. It's a Charles Davis composition, but we're gonna highlight Kenny Dorham's solo on it. I think this is definitely one of his greatest solos, in that it's just pretty simple. It's just like he's having a conversation. He ain't playing real fast, nothing too crazy, but just the fluidity and the clarity of the changes and all of his stylistic signature inflections are in there. Let's check it out. Fortunate to have had the chance to see Charles Davis live many times. One of the unsung baritone saxophonists and tenor saxophonists. Yeah, so along with Charles Davis on this one, we got Tommy Flanagan, Butch Warren, and Buddy Enlow once again. I'm gonna give you a little bit of Charles Davis solo. All right, that's a little more than a little bit. All right, we're gonna cut ahead to KD's solo. All right, here's KD. Just even that first 8 bars right there. Let's go back one more. Right here, just that line for me. It's that line for me. That drawl that he has on his lines. Let's go on to the rest. Phrasing. All those little things. Bit ow ha. So funky. So funky. Go make sure you check out that solo. KD on turbo. All right, our final KD solo on this episode. This is a one that's very near and dear to my heart. I remember when I first started to really discover how deep Kenny Dorham was. I was talking to my teacher at the time, the great John Faddis, about him, and he was talking to me about how if you really want to master the tritone substitution, this is the solo you need to check out of Kenny Dorham's. And now this one is kind of off the beaten path. It's a deep cut. It's very hard to find, but it is on YouTube. Now imagine when I first learned this solo, age myself here, there was no YouTube. So I had this on CD, and if I lost the CD, I was in trouble. And not many people, again, even as a CD, this was pretty rare. So this is from a record called Memorial Concert, Charlie Parker. It's from Carnegie Hall, March 27th, 1965. They're celebrating Bird on this one. It was originally a Dizzy Gillespie quintet concert, but with a bunch of special guests. So we have Roy Eldridge, Coleman Hawkins, Lee Konitz, Dave Lambert, Billy Taylor, Roy Haynes, Tommy Potter, and the great Kenny Dorham. Obviously, being a veteran of Bird's band, they had to have KD on this one. When I tell you he destroys this blues, he destroys this blues. Here we go. Disorder at the Border, KD ripping a B-flat blues. Here we go. Tritone sub coming up, number 1. Turn it up. Kill it. Here comes that line again. Double time. Ha. Whenever we get to that line. All right, trumpet players. All you trumpet players watching this, I know y'all gonna wanna go out and learn this solo. You need to check this one out and hit me up. Tag me on Instagram if you learned it and you could play it. Once again, the great Kenny Dorham, Disorder at the Border. the master. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Kenny Dorham. I promise you, we're going to have a whole lot more episodes about Kenny Dorham, about some of his records in totality. And we're definitely going to have something special for you coming up with Kenny Dorham. I'm not going to give it away too much now, but definitely a lot more Kenny Dorham. Check out these recordings. Let me know what you think about the Steph Curry comp. I think it's solid. Don't forget to check out his music and his composition and really dive deep and go down that rabbit hole. Thanks so much for watching this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace. To be or not to bop? That is the question.